Hey everybody, welcome out to another episode of Windshield Time at Mountainland Supply. I'm Joey. I'm here with Brandon, our CEO, as always. Today we are joined by Timothy White, Director of Marketing. It is Timothy, right?
It is.
All right. Timothy White.
What's your middle
Director
name?
of Marketing.
What's your middle name?
S.
Timothy S. White.
What's the S?
S.
I can't divulge that
Is
at this time.
Solomon.
This is public.
Timothy
domain.
Solomon White.
Solomon.
We just put our own in there. If it's not Solomon, you
I
better
like
correct
Solomon.
us.
That's
All right.
pretty cool.
We're also here with Spencer Shorts, our producer extraordinaire. You have the next 4 seconds uninterrupted.
I love you guys so much.
That's a good way to
Wow.
spend 4
And
seconds.
hi, Mom.
Does she listen? Is she a windshield
I
wiper?
don't think so.
No, she's not a windshield wiper.
No, but this is longer than 4 seconds.
Yeah, you're way over your time. You've been cut off.
Well, cutting into
I need the dump button right here,
Short stealing the show.
as usual. He has editing power, so he can do whatever he wants, even though these are unedited,
Yeah, we don't edit these.
just so you guys know.
Crazy.
Coming at you raw. So, Tim, we're going to talk about your position at Mountainland, kind of what you do. It's an introduction to you and your department. So, we didn't always have a marketing department here at Mountainland. We didn't always have a branding department or control of our branding the way that we do now. So, kind of tell us about the year that you kind of came in and what the state of our company's marketing department was when you came in, or lack thereof.
Lack thereof. So, yeah, back in 11 years ago.
There you go.
12 years ago.
There you go.
Brent Anderson, the CEO at that time.
That's 2012 for those who are doing Weber High
I
math.
can't do math. I do marketing math. Back in
2012.
2012, Brent Anderson, CEO back then. I had a company called Next Door Creative, not Open the Next whatever.
Open the next door?
No, it wasn't Open the Next. It was just Next Door
Well,
Creative.
how come all
that was a
your
cool name?
All your stuff said open the next door.
No.
Oh. Sorry.
Right.
Retract everything I ever
Retract.
said. Next door creative.
Next door creative.
I've been waiting for this moment.
Redemption.
Set the record straight. He's just seething at me for the last however long since I said it last time.
Anyway, that company, we were brought on to consult, and at the time it was kind of to help with. They thought they needed a website, and I started kind of looking into the company. I'm like,
So since 2012, we've been working on that damn website.
See,
But
the bane of our
Yeah,
existence.
for real.
there was no marketing department, no marketing director or anything. And I kind of looked at the company, and I was doing some evaluations, and kind of started to discover that that Mountainland probably needed a little bit of a brand transformation. The people were great. I could see like all this huge potential. Like the people were great, the company was sound. It was like everybody I talked to that was in the industry loved Mountainland, but nobody knew who they were or anything like that. Outside of that, like I'd never heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to Brent and said, I think we actually need to do a brand transformation. We need to kind of lay some laws about what the brand is.
Yep.
and all those things. So out of that came, I was literally down here probably 5 days a week. And my office was up in Salt Lake. And I got kind of like, okay, either you need to hire me and I need to be your marketing director, or I don't know if I can even do this anymore. I was like, I was down here so often.
It was
because
all
there
consuming.
so much to do. And so Brent hired me, and we started kind of implementing the brand strategies that we were talking about for about a year beforehand. And since that time, we've established the brand and built the marketing team and all those
You
things.
say it like it's just comes easy, but that was, I mean, there's so much hard fought work. I mean, even down to the logo. I mean,
Yeah.
you change the logo, the font, the mountains. I mean, everything is new, or was new then.
Was new then, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say there was a little bit of the this is the way we've always done it kind of attitude when I came into the
100%.
company. And one of the things I'm probably most proud of is that when we started working on the brand, we started talking about what are the core kind of values behind the brand. And out of that came, that we wanted to be we wanted to make our customers' business better. We wanted to embrace progressive change rather than that attitude of this is the way we've always done it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Enrich our community.
enriching the community, making being remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
That was one that really stuck with me. Is like, okay, how do we make our brand remarkable? How do we present our company in a way that people are like, I want to
They talk about it.
talk about it.
They talk about it. They remember it.
Yeah. How do I make raving fans out of our customers? So that's where that foundation came from, and then we've just been working on it.
So we should probably clarify that that was the first iteration of our core values.
Yeah.
Those are not our current core values.
Core commitments now.
But now we call them our core commitments because we're committed to, and it was those 4 things. And if you ever come to Orem and come into our executive conference room right here,
They're on the wall.
They're on the wall.
Yep.
And typically when we sit with people, we bring people in, we always sit on the side of that, so they have to face that and see that.
Yeah.
We make them so that they can see that.
Yeah.
As they're on the wall. But anyways.
And many people comment on that, on how impressed they are with those. I believe they really feel like now they feel like that's what the company represents.
Well, back then you called that our intent.
Yeah.
That was kind of the buzzword at Next Door Creative.
Correct.
Was what is your intent? Because back then there was a lot of buzz about a mission statement, right? And Next Door Creative Inc. LLC, registered trademark. They had created they changed that so that you looked at it from a different perspective of what is your intent? What do you really want people to do when they think of Mountainland Supply? You want them to think of those core commitments, that you aren't just about a splash and dash. You want to make sure that you enrich the community that you're in. You're not just there to be a pariah on the people of the community. You're going to try and give your money back to it, give your efforts back to it. Those types of things is what that was really the intent of who we were. We just never wrote it down.
Yeah.
Right?
I was going to say it was already in the people.
Yeah.
It was just kind of
And we already did it.
articulating it and, like you say, writing it down. I would also say there's this idea of what how to focus a brand.
Mm-hmm.
And I use this analogy of a brand lens. And if you put everything through that brand lens, then you're able to actually focus on those core commitments like we've talked about. And I started to look at anything that I get inundated with. Hey, would you like to do this? Would you like to do this? Would you like to do this? And I take that brand lens. I look at everything falls through those commitments and our core values. If it falls in that, then we will look at it and decide whether or not it has value for us and representing our brand. But if it doesn't, then it probably doesn't make the mustard, because we just constantly have to build that brand around those things, because that's who we are.
Yeah.
It's just a representative of who we are.
Well, and that's why I think that's why we're so protective of it. Everybody has great ideas, and a lot of people have great ideas around branding and merchandising and, everything. Everybody has great ideas, and I applaud everybody for their ideas, but we are very choosy on how we go to market with our branding. And when people bring those ideas and they get shot down, it's not because we're just stuck in our ways and we don't want to change. That's the complete opposite. We are just very protective of how we present ourselves, because if you misrepresent yourself, it takes a long time to get that back. So we are very careful about how we do it.
Well, it's taken us a lot to get here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Lots of blood, sweat, and tears.
exactly to the point that, I mean, to Tim's credit, I mean, I've been here almost as long as you, Tim, and from when I started to where it is today, our brand it's phenomenal. It's one of the most popular brands out there, to the point that people can just look at the mountains
and they
know
with us.
who we are. I mean, that's the coolest thing. And I go out into the community and I tell them I'm from Mountainland. Oh, I've heard about you guys.
I've seen your trucks.
Yeah, I've seen your trucks, or
I saw you in the theater.
I've heard you on on the radio.
Yeah.
I've heard that's us, and I mean that's all Tim. That Tim he's the one that got us to where we're at today, and because of that, I often talk to Tim, and it's almost like you're the brand protector.
Yeah,
to make sure that
the brands are
exactly to make sure that we protect what we've done. And to your point, Joe, that's why. In the past, everybody's kind of gone and done their own different thing. Hey, I'm going to do this logo, and I'm going to do this logo, or I'm going to put this on, or I'm going to brand it this way. And then now we have processes in place saying, no, you have to run that through marketing, not because we want Tim to be the dictator on it.
Or because we want him to have credit for it.
Yeah, it's not that. It's just making sure, is it pushing our brand forward or is it detracting from it? We just need to make sure that it's always going forward, and we're protecting that.
Yeah, and I mean, to clarify, obviously there's a whole team, right?
Yeah.
I have great.
There wasn't always a whole team. Though.
There wasn't. Yeah,
we haven't got to that point yet in the story.
Right. For a long time, there was just me or a few people. Now there's a team, and they all play roles, and this goes all the way into our events and the actual, event marketing that we do, the activities that we do, goes into the videos and graphics that Spencer does, and it permeates everything that we do within the company. And now with 16 different divisions, and I don't know, 42 branches, something like, I don't know where we're at.
You got it right. It is 42 today.
42 today.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different personalities and different needs and strengths and things you have to understand about all these different verticals of our business in order to market them. Yeah. And so we have a phenomenal team that is constantly learning, and we rely heavily on our sales managers and our branch managers to help us guide us through what's going to be good for the company, and we listen, So it's not just that we're dictating these things on the brand side. We are listening. We are wanting that feedback to help us make the best decision for the company and for each of those divisions and those branches individually. So.
Do a quick shout out to your team, though. Name them. So everybody knows who's on your team.
So we got Spencer Schwartz. He's our video and just all things media.
I don't have any more time, sorry.
He's over his 4 seconds.
He is the silent assassin, I will tell you that.
He's amazing.
He is very creative and has great taste in music. And then we got Mike Mark,
set go.
Who is doing a lot of our vendor coordination and helping us make sure that they're involved with our trainings within our branches and with our customers, and as well as kind of being out there and being in the public. He's a great public figure for Mountainland. He's a great face for Mountainland, and he is a great ambassador to
set up events
and set up and do a lot of those things. We got Taylor Pruch, who
you almost said her maiden name.
I almost said Rolly. And she's over Peak Rewards and Swag, and has done an amazing job with the look and feel of Mountainland when it comes to how we look, how we're styling.
Yeah.
And We got Sarah Winters, who also works on Peak Rewards, does a lot of the technical aspects of the ticket processing for when you're taking customers to
An
event, a game,
a venue,
concert, any of those things. And it's blown up to be quite a big undertaking, and she masterfully handles that well. And she helps out a lot with the events as well. And then Janelle Zagara, I can't say her actual real last name now because she's married to a German.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know how to say it.
Just stick with the Zagara.
So I'll go with Zagara. But she's amazing. She's our scheduler. So she handles all of our assets. And when a salesman or a sales manager needs a backdrop or items for a trade show or anything that they need, swag and all those kind of things, she's coordinating that, checking it out, getting it back. She also manages all of our team schedules so we don't forget stuff. And so she's been tremendous in that role.
Things are staffed correctly, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got Tate Calvert, who is our web UX specialist, and he is fantastic, and he's been wrangling us all together to be able to help get this new website launched that'll be coming up.
Along with several other hats that he's been wearing.
Yeah, social media, managing our SEO, things like Google
Reviews.
Yelp, and all that kind of stuff. And that's a good example, too, of why we do this, right? Because these days now people are putting online how they feel about your brand.
And, good and bad and ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so managing that is a big task, and Tate's doing a fantastic job on
awesome.
that. Oh, and then we got Sharon.
In the Midwest.
In Kansas, and she is kind of handling that area out there for us right
and
now.
Has to wear many hats out there. Yeah.
And we are probably safe to say that we are in the process of rebranding the tap to be Mountainland Supply, and we're excited about that. She's going to be heavily involved with helping us do that, and with some other things as well. So she's fantastic and got lots of great energy and ideas, and so
awesome.
That's our team.
Back in the day when we first started, I think there was you, Tim. When I first started, it was just you.
It was Tim.
I know it's just over the past few years we've talked about it, and our company had gotten a bit larger, and Tim's department stayed Tim.
Yeah.
So it was Tim needs more resources to be able to manage all this, and it's gotten pretty crazy over the past few years, and it's amazing to me that marketing. I'm an accounting background, so I'm a finance guy, and marketing, I've always learned they don't get along. Like we're not on the same wavelength because it's always, hey,
it's
prove
hard to
me,
prove an ROI.
hey, give me an ROI, and marketing is not one that you're ever going to get an ROI. Right. You're not going to get a hard number,
right?
If that makes sense. But for me, working with Tim in this as an accountant, Tim always has great intent, and he is a Mountainland guy through and through.
Yep.
And so there's a lot of times, I'll challenge Tim, but at the end of the day, I know that Tim is looking out for Mountainland.
Yep.
And so it's okay, how do we support him? And there's times I'm like, give me the ROI. What's the number? And we've had to walk through that. And it's just like, you know what? Tim knows what he's doing. I trust him. We're going to go with it. Like, let him do it. And it proves out every time. Look at where we're at today. Tim's a phenomenal marketer. He has such a creative mind. And he's always, this is the other thing too, is like, we talk about these trips. This is another plug too that we haven't even talked about.
Peak Rewards.
Our Peak Reward trips that we have, Tim is the mastermind behind these.
He created the whole program.
But to this day, when we're going out, what we're doing, it's so fun to talk to him about this because I'm more of a logistic guy and saying, okay, what about this and what about this? And Tim's always worried, what is the customer going to feel?
Yeah.
How are they going to like this? Are they going to like this, or are they going to, feel this way and this way, this way? I'm like, there's many times I take a step back. I'm like, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about that. And it's just the little touches like Tim thinks about. And so as you hear about the successes that we have on these trips, these Mountainland trips, that's Tim worrying about every little detail about that, and working with our great partners, Ren International. Shout out to Doug and Wade out there. But Tim's the mastermind behind those. So if you hear of how great those were from your customers, well, you got Tim to thank for that.
Yeah.
He's the one that gets those done. And he doesn't even go on all of them. There's sometimes, this year, there's been a lot of them, and Tim hasn't even been able to be there to even see. This is like a painter that I'm painting this picture, and I don't even get to see the end result of the picture or be able to benefit part of this masterpiece, which is kind of a bummer. But anyway, shout out to Tim does a phenomenal job with those as well.
Yeah. I've had the pleasure of working with Tim pretty much since you got here. I was on a bunch of committees when we first started this, and my background is marketing, and I got to work with Tim in peer roles, and then I got the pleasure of working with Tim as a manager. And one thing that, Tim is an artist and he's a storyteller, and so everything that he does is a story. He's telling a story to the customer, and that story needs to have a happy ending in every single one of them, and Tim works very hard at creating these works of art in everything that we have. The entire jazz program that we have is something that's orchestrated by Tim. It's nothing in that, no detail is not intended in those things. And in addition to that, Tim's one of the best people I've ever known at taking criticism and feedback. Is so long as it's done in a constructive way. Like if I would have a problem with a design and I just told Tim, nah, I'm just not feeling that, he would ask me why, and then he'd move forward with whatever critique we had.
You'd probably get 5 more designs.
No,
hey, what about this? What about this?
Well,
he takes it and runs with it.
At first, yes, yeah. But as Tim and I worked together, we developed this, relationship.
Understanding.
Yeah, where we kind of knew where each other was coming from, and I personally really appreciate that aspect of you. And a lot of people don't see that either. And that's why I'm so I'm kind of rigid with people messing around with the brand, and people will get, I get after people a lot, and I'm not going to apologize for it, because that there's been so much work on Tim's end that I'm not going to let somebody else bastardize it, honestly. Yeah. I know everybody has great ideas about hats. I know everybody has great ideas about shirts. Everybody has a buddy that does shirts and screen prints, and some of you out there do it yourself, and that's great, and I applaud you for it. That doesn't mean that we're going to use you or your buddy, because there's been a lot of work put into the system and the processes that we have, and we can't go around those because we have to protect this brand.
Yep.
It is everything. So anyway, that's my rant. Sorry, Timmy.
No, I appreciate that. The one thing I would say, a lot of my processes and thinking behind this stuff comes from an article that was actually written by Harvard professor at Harvard. Talked about 20 years ago that the new economy would be built on experience marketing. Yeah. And so a lot of what we do, you see probably 90% of our marketing really revolves around more personalized experiences, creating the experience. And all of the stuff together creates a certain kind of experience for our customers, for ourselves, for our vendors that we work with as well. And so that's where that stems from, because it was really, that was like law for me before I even came into the company. I was like, I want to build a company that has that kind of culture, that experience culture. And then recently, via watching The Bear, I learned about the the book called Unreasonable Hospitality, which is really just an extension of this Harvard review. And that article is in the advertising and marketing world. That article was a huge revelation for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because advertising the way they've been doing it for years and years and years,
Volume advertising.
Yeah.
Hit them with enough volume and they'll buy your stuff.
was that no longer was having the effect
Yep.
that people thought it would
They
have.
grew accustomed to. Yeah.
Right. We have so much noise. We have so much stuff, social media, TV, radio, everything, that if you have too much of all of that, then you have nothing.
Yeah.
And so to get to the heart of your brand and get to the heart of your customer and really understanding them and giving them an experience, creating environments where they can have an experience with you that changes their, not just their mind, but their hearts about who they're shopping with. That is the essence of what we're trying to build with the Mountainland brand. And I believe for definitely in our industry, we are hands above the leader in doing that.
There's nobody who does it like this.
We're setting a precedence.
Yeah.
Like people look to us often. You know, I go to these national conferences and I often get hit up. What's Mountainland doing on the marketing
and
side?
how do you do it?
Yeah, and they're always amazed by what we're doing.
Yeah. I talk to when I go out to the counters and do training with the guys, I say they come in with one emotion. Whether that's great day, terrible day, I'm needing this part, I had to come back again and again, or whatever their emotion is, but you can control how they leave, what emotion they'll leave with just by exemplifying the culture.
The way you interact with them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the heart of the brand. That's what we're after.
That's awesome, bud. That's probably a decent place to wrap it up because I know Tim's got other responsibilities he's got to get to.
Busy man.
But thanks for spending a little bit of time with us, bud.
Thank you.
And thanks for all you've done to.
Appreciate the kind words.
Thanks, Timmy.
Don't
We
get
love
used
you,
to it.
man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love you, buddy.
Guys.
Okay. Thanks for spending a little bit of windshield time with us, and we'll see you down the road, guys. Thanks.
See you, everyone.